Welcome to Radiant Mom Rising. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, and in each episode, we dive into amazing stories, insights, and conversations that help moms like you chase your dreams and embrace your worth. Let's rise and shine together. What if you're not behind? What if the reason you can't move at the pace you once did, or the pace you see someone else moving, isn't because you're failing, unmotivated, or doing something wrong? What if you're simply in a season that is asking something different of you? Today, I'm back with MaryBeth and Shauna for one of our honest panel style conversations. And this one is for every woman who has looked at someone else's life and quietly wondered, why am I not there yet? We're talking about honoring the season you're in, releasing the pressure to keep up with everyone else, and recognizing that growth doesn't always look like doing more. Sometimes it looks like resting. Sometimes it looks like letting go. Sometimes it looks like trying something new and allowing yourself to be bad at it before you become better. And sometimes it begins with one tiny decision to stop living by default and start choosing what works for you. We also get honest about changing friendships, marriage, motherhood, consistency, burnout, and learning to ask yourself, what do I actually need today? Mama, you don't have to rush through this season to prove that you're growing. You're allowed to honor where you are while still believing deeply in where you're going. All right, let's get into this conversation.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to the talk show style podcast episode with my girls, Mary and MaryBeth. I'm so excited to be here today, and what our topic we're going to talk about can get super juicy. So I'm excited to start. If we want to start with introductions, girls, let everybody know who you are in case they're listening for the first time.
I'm Mary Dibble, wife, mom of three, life coach, and host of the Radiant Mom Rising podcast. And I'm just all about inspiring moms in any way I can to reclaim their energy, their time, their belief in themselves, their love for themselves, so that they can really do the work to create the life that they love and deserve. So excited to be here.
I love it. I'm Mary Beth. I'm a coach for ADHD entrepreneurs who want support with sustainability in their business so that it's actually supporting the life they want. I'm passionate about helping entrepreneurs become fierce through messy action, baby steps, and growing their confidence. And my podcast is The Fierce Framework.
I love it, love it. And I am Shauna B. I am a mom of three with a bonus child. I love adventure, sunshine, anything with sand, beaches. I have released Your Inner Power podcast, as well as a coaching business for women who really want to live their life by design, stop the overthinking and the burnout so they can get to it. I am so excited about this topic today. We are going to be talking about the season of life and identifying what that is for you and not having to keep up with everyone else, trying to stay out of that whole comparison situation. So, ladies, when I say that the season of life and not having to keep up with everybody else and identifying what that is for you, what comes to you guys for that?
I got super excited because I love it so much. And I think part of it is probably because my journey is a lot different than I thought it would be as an eldest daughter. Um, yeah, so it's been really freeing and empowering to like identify and just accept that our journeys are all different and not only are we not all headed the same place, but like we're not all taking the same path to get there. And we didn't all like start at the same time or at the same level. So it's like truly everyone's journey is different. People are dealing with different things. And so like there's not really any reason to compare myself with someone else. That's just been so freeing. So I'm really excited to get into it.
Mic drop.
Yes. Yeah. True that. True
What
that.
about you, Mary?
Yeah, the same. I mean, I was big on comparing myself for so long to other people and dreaming and wishing I had what they had. And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, that's like so exhausting and it will keep you from what is meant for you. And so I'm learning to just really honor where I'm at and honor my journey and understand that, like you say, everyone's path is different, and that's actually cool. And just understanding too that like it's on purpose of molding
Yeah.
you and preparing you for what's meant for you to be able to carry it.
Mm.
So it's helped me to appreciate the journey and the process and see it differently than beating myself up or feeling behind, like I'm always behind and oh, I should, be doing this and all the shoulds that we put on ourselves, especially in the beginning when you're getting started. Because so many people will tell you that, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And it's like, no, it's really figuring out what works for you, what lights you up. Because if you really think about it, what you choose, I mean, you're not always pigeonholed, I will say, into it per se, but the goal ultimately is for you to do something that you love, that
Mm-hmm.
means something to you,
Mm-hmm.
that you feel good about and you are confident in, because if you are going to earn making this, you don't want it to feel like another job.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think about that too, of like when you're walking this journey.
I
So
love that you say you don't want it to feel like another job because I think that that's super important to highlight here. When people are in I'm going to say season of change because we're talking about seasons, but when you're in this spot of I'm freaking done with this. I don't want this. Something has to be different here because I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. This is you're either irritated or you're depleted or you're just like this, all of that. Or you know, you know that something has to be different because nothing changes if nothing changes. You can keep doing
right.
the same thing and be stuck on the hamster wheel and then you're pissed off and then it starts over and then you keep going, then you're pissed off again. Like that can happen. You can
Ask
totally
us
do
how we
that.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How do we know that? Or you can either what I call stick a toe in or take one little step or just be, 1 millimeter ahead of where you were last time by doing something different. And even if that is just to take a second to realize that, that's already different. That's already changed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Identifying that to then do, okay, so what do I want to do now? Normally I would do this. So let's try this right there. Can like set you a course, if you will, right? Without even realizing that you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, I feel like the journey is so heavy. Like, yes, it is a journey. And I think it's interesting how we say that to try to make it easier that it's a journey because there's a start, there's a whole process, there's an end. It's this thing, but a journey is bigger, right? And what helped me immensely was breaking it down into seasons. Seasons are smaller chunks of time and they're different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not one season for X, blah, blah, blah. Like it's smaller chunks of time and seasons are different. And
Mm-hmm.
when you want to change something and have it be either more towards what you really want, more towards, living your life by design and not just going through the hamster wheel of day to day, or just getting back to you and making life easier in general, any of those things with the change, there's going to be seasons. And
Mm-hmm.
with those seasons and how different they are, you can have summer's my favorite season. So I'm going to use that one as like the positive,
I
cheery,
see.
la 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 one. So, like, summer, you're doing all the things, you're going and doing all these activities, you're making all these memories. It's fun. You're swimming, doing all the things you love or whatever. And then, fall, it slows down because you're like falling back into like routine and like what have you. How do you fall back into place with that season? And then winter is when you're like bearing, like you're tucked in, and how I like to look at it is you're tucked in, like inward. Like that's the time to do the inner work to like reflect and be like, okay, because you're kind of like stuck inside, but you're not, like stuck inside. So like inner work, what worked, what didn't, time of reflection. And then when you come back around to spring, that's when things start blooming because all the seeds you've already planted from all the things prior seasons. So it takes those seasons to start blooming and springing and you get the energy and now you're like, well, I want to start doing this. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to clean my whole house and clean out the clutter that goes for inside of you as well, in your mind, in your soul, everything. It's kind of the same thing. So I like to look at it that way and break it down into chunks of time, and they're all going to look very different and they're all
Hmm.
going to feel very different
Hmm.
to make it easier to kind of progress into something. Because if you've never done any work or you've never decided like, F this, I'm gonna live my life by design. I'm tired of this hamster wheel BS that I'm on. Sometimes it takes a little bit to even get to that. But once you get to that and you make the decision, you don't want to feel like you're putting on a freaking 70-pound backpack because now you're going to be on this journey. Like that's not what I want. I want it to be like, okay, I'm using all the stuff, but how do I just tilt my compass a little bit more to be more on track, right? Like, how do I do that? And that's by sticking a toe in or, doing something different. But it starts with awareness and noticing what you're noticing and where that is, like where that is in your life and where that is in a season of life. Don't always wait until it's the F this moment or the really irritated moment or I'm done. I mean,
Hmm.
that's like the big flag, like, hello,
Yeah.
something needs to change here. But if you notice and you want to step out before that, you can do it at any time. It just comes down to your decision and what you want.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned the 1 degree because, like, that's so true. I think a lot of the time we get hung up on not wanting to make one small tweak because it doesn't feel big enough.
Yeah.
But to use the journey analogy, like if you're thinking about your whole life and it's, I don't know, 70, 80 years or, however many more years you have, that's a lot. And there's going to be a compound difference when you start making small changes now. And I think we don't give enough credit to how those small changes prepare us for additional small changes and bigger changes down the road, right? If you
Yeah.
never pick up that first 5 pound barbell, dumbbell, whatever, you're never going to get to the 25 one. So if you pick up the 5 pound one now, then eventually, but it's like if we never pick it up because 5 pounds isn't enough, then we're never going to get to the point where we're lifting that bigger barbell. So I love that you mentioned that because I think that just tweaking the compass a little bit or, changing your path or dipping a toe in whatever you want to call it, right? Those are all kind of symbolism for the same thing. That is so powerful because it adds up over time. And it also like opens your mind to possibility just a little bit more, and then
Mhm.
that's going to lead to new things down the road. So it might seem too small to matter now, but it's not. It's going to add up.
Mhm.
Right.
And I absolutely love this season's analogy because they're different and they pass.
Mhm.
Especially like you were mentioning at the beginning of the journey, I think it could be really hard and you're like, "Oh my God, is the whole thing going to be like this? I don't even want to do this." Like it's so hard. But seasons only last for a time and then they change and then something new. Like they're all different and they're all needed. It can't just be summer all the time. You
Yeah.
need those differences and you need those rhythms. So I love the alliteration that you were using.
Oh yeah, beautiful, beautiful analogies because it is so true, and especially when you even think about the way we talk about it, it's like even with spring cleaning. I mean, it's kind of like that. You are kind of decluttering and cleaning out all the stuff so that you can get back on track of like what you're going for, and you're more empowered and energized around that time in summertime where like the winter blues, that's the hard part because you are reflecting, you are dealing with figuring out what worked, what didn't work, and how can you adjust for this new year, and it stretches you. And being stretched is not easy because it is part of preparing you and growth can be very uncomfortable, very hard for so many of us because
Mhm.
change in itself is scary. So I think that's amazing, and this is where, again, like when you honor where you are and also honor like who you are,
Mhm.
and how your life looks, it's so great because it helps you to find your own way, even though you get influenced. Like there's nothing wrong with looking at these people that you admire and that you like, I want what they have. Okay, that's great. Let that motivate you to figure it out for yourself of how that can look like for you.
Yeah.
Because then, you hear that, I hear that sometimes that people who like will take a program from somebody and then they'll be like, oh, well, it's so easy for them to say to do this and that because they don't have kids or they don't have what I have going on. But at the same time, it's like no one said you have to do it exactly the way they did it. They're just
Mhm.
sharing with you what worked for them in
Mhm.
ways that could you can take on and make it your own that could help you in your own way. And I think there's that huge difference right there that we have to realize.
Mhm.
And the sooner you do that, the sooner you can start being real. Because I do see that a lot, especially with moms. I actually saw this the other day on a post where someone was like, "How do moms like hold a full-time job, raising kids, managing the household, and then do side hustle? Like, how is that even possible?" And I'm like, "There you go. That's a limiting belief right there already in itself." But it's like, trust me, look, there are many of us moms doing it, and we're rocking it, we're killing it. It's not always easy. No one said that it's going to be easy, but
Mhm.
we're still choosing and deciding to figure it out and do it anyways because we know we're meant for more and we have this vision, this dream of making a difference. And that, I think that all ties in to our seasons and just figuring out which season you're in and what do you need within that season for yourself so that you can push through and thrive.
I want to talk about that for a second. So
Mhm.
when somebody is saying, like look at them and how can they possibly do that and that limiting belief. Um it's very interesting to me with how easy it is to be behind that shower curtain. Now, when I say it like that is not the fabric kind that you can't see, but like the kind that's, super blurry, kind of like my background where you're like, something's over there, but I don't really know what it is, you know?
Yes.
Like how many times in our lives we are behind that shower curtain and it's so hard for, us to see. And it's like asking now, first of all, I want to like commend that that's a question. How can they do that?
Right.
So yes, it's a
Because it
limiting
could be a
belief, but
good
it is
faith
not
question.
right. It could literally it could, but it's a question. So there's curiosity in there
Mhm.
that is wondering, how can I do that? Like
Yeah.
it's obviously possible because somebody's doing it, but how can I do that? It's so funny how it is a limiting belief. We're behind the curtain. We're not recognizing that we're behind the shower
Hmm.
curtain, but we're still asking a question. That's what I love about coaching because us as coaches, we can be like, "Hey, there's some curiosity there. Let's
Yes.
like pull that curtain back, right?" But okay, so how do I get that? Well, now you're in this curtain and you can see some of these things. You're not really sure what they are, but you know that it's possible. Now, understanding that, recognizing that alone right there and knowing like, but I want to be different, or how do I get there? Or what's the next question of that? Is this something that you want? If
Mhm.
it is something that you want, really looking at what does that actually look like? So then these blurry things can kind of come into more clarity. Like it's like you put the glasses on and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, it's right here in front of
Yes.
me," right?
Yeah.
Or having the ability to also understand that yes, this person did something from step 1 to step 8 and this is their result, but they also did it in their life, their season, their journey, their choices. So I love when you say that taking what they wanted, how they wanted to do it, and then putting it in their life that way and trying something different is how you put those clarity glasses on.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like
Exactly.
taking the step, trying something on, like that saying of trying something on. That's basically just trying it
Yeah.
without even knowing. You are not going to know what you are capable of if you do not try.
Right.
If you just sit and ask the questions, which is great, it's curious.
Yeah.
That is not the next step, is doing something to even know if that's the direction. Like, how are you going to know if you like pickleball if you've never even tried it?
Right.
True
You're
that.
just going to look at it and be like, I don't like that. You don't know that by
Yeah.
looking at it. That's like a little kid. You put food in front of them and they're like, gross, I don't want to eat that. Do you know that?
Yeah.
No. And then I love it when they eat it and then they're like, I can't say that I like it now because I just made a huge deal about not liking it.
Yes. Oh my
It's
God.
the
Yeah.
same thing, right? So
Hmm.
when you try something, that's how you know, like, yes, this is for me. I really like it. And then who knows? Like, that's how things like flourish. I'm using all these
Yeah.
friggin'
Mhm.
words, but like,
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, I don't really like pickleball. Yeah, sure, I'll play with my friend, whatever. And then you start playing, and then you're like, oh God. Then you're like that kid, and you're like, I actually do really like it. And then now all of a sudden you're part of a league and you play all the time. And like,
Yeah.
would you have
Yeah.
even known that when you were watching it? And
Right.
you're like, no, I don't really know.
Right.
No. And where
Yeah.
did you learn? When you were doing the thing.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I think for the seasons that you're in, it's important to pay attention one to the season that you're in. If you are in the hibernation reflection season, that is not time to be starting new things. It's also not the time to be fixing anything. It's the time for
Yes.
rest and recuperation. Reminder, okay? But like when you get into a season of like trying something new and that's how you prove to yourself like heck yeah, I just did
Mhm.
that. I
Mhm.
just did that. I didn't know that I could do that, and I just did that. And then all kinds of things will come into clarity around you, or that shower curtain gets totally pulled to the side, and then now you can see like a
Mhm.
huge path in front of you of where you want to go, be, do, have, whatever. But
I
like,
love that you mentioned too, like, oh, sorry.
go ahead. Just staying behind the
Just
curtain's not, that's default. That's not design.
right,
Oh, love it.
right. I really love that you mentioned the affirmation of like, heck yeah, I did that. Because even if you try pickleball and maybe you end up not liking it, right? You still did that and you worked that muscle of branching out and trying something new.
Yeah.
And just because you don't like pickleball doesn't mean you won't like golf or volleyball or like
Mhm.
some other
Yep.
sport. And it's like, so now that you've practiced trying something new, now you're even more in a more advantageous place to try something else that might click better.
Yeah.
So even if it doesn't work out, like you've still gained that experience and that like confidence to branch out and try something.
And I mean, even further with that, because I'm a huge pickleball player. Like I remember when I first started playing pickleball, like I wasn't the best either. It was fun, but it was like I wasn't good. And like here I was playing, like my husband was really good. And I remember because I'd be like, "Can you go easy on me?" And he's like, "Iron sharpens iron, Mary. So no, I'm not going to go easy on you." And I love him
He's
for
like,
that
you need to
because
get better.
yes, exactly. But you know what? You did, and it did. Like
Right.
it took me a while, but now I'm better than him, and I make him mad all the time. But it's because another thing with this is like consistency.
I love that.
I know people don't like that, but at the same time, like that's what it takes, and it's that daily practice or that ability to like do it messy, not be that good at it. That's okay. I'll figure it out. I'll get better over time. That ends up making you a master at this thing that you now can
Yes.
go out there and share with other people so that they can become a master of it themselves because what may be easy for you is definitely not for so many people. And that is a great way to also like think about it. Like when you're trying something new, it's like, yeah, first of all, you're not even going to be that good at it the first time. I tell my kids that all the time because
Yeah.
it's like Brea, like she'll beat herself up if she doesn't get it. Like, even playing a game or something. I'm like, honey, it's okay. Nobody ever gets it the first time.
Mhm.
Not always. So that's part of learning and developing and growing. I say, girl, but the more you do it, you're gonna get it, and you're gonna be so good at it. Like, just don't give up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So, yeah, I did when y'all were talking about that, it made me think about my experience with that and how much I've grown just in that one
Mhm.
little thing. So,
Well, let's unpack that for a second.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful.
yeah.
Let's unpack that. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's unpack that for a second. So, for example, you start playing pickleball and you're like, man, can you go easy? Because what's happening? You're getting a challenge at you. And you're
Yes.
like, man, can you go easy on me? Because I'm learning or whatever. And then he's just like, no. He's like, you're gonna learn. But it's so interesting how challenges are coming at you. Now you have a choice. Am
Hmm.
I just gonna be like, "Pff, I said go easy on me. I don't want to play anymore. You can say that.
Yeah.
Or you can be like, okay, you're gonna challenge me, and then there's a little like competitiveness where you're like, listen, buddy, like,
Yeah.
fine, challenge
Yep.
accepted, and I'm gonna
Challenge
try, right?
accepted. Yeah.
And then I'm gonna like level up or whatever. But that's like by and large, big picture, that's how life is.
Yeah.
There are challenges that are thrown at you, and you can choose to fold and walk, or you can choose to be like, okay. And I mean, you don't have to go whole hog here and be like, challenge accepted, blah, 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 and like be all, like in the face of the challenge. You can be like, okay, challenge accepted, and you can still like tread around or whatever, depending on what stories you're telling yourself. If you like mess up, mess up, mess up, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just not getting better, is that the story you're telling yourself?
Mm.
Or kind of like when you were talking about your daughter when she was like getting frustrated about something. Well, is there another way we can try within the same thing? within the game, is there another way, like that might not be your season path journey, whatever. There might be something off to the right or the left that
Hmm.
could work
Hmm.
better, that it's outside of the box.
Yeah.
Same with like you learning pickleball. There might be a way that he might be teaching you, teaching you, teaching you, teaching you, and you're like, this isn't it. And then all of a sudden you're like, but if I do it like this, I get it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it might be a little tweak. It might be something that's a little bit different where you get it and then you practicing it and showing up and kind of like challenge accepted situation.
Yep.
That's like choosing to step into your power to learn the thing to
Hmm.
now you're like, yeah, let's go play him. He might be like, I
Exactly.
don't want to play today. You're gonna beat me or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it could end up being like that, which I think is
Yep.
really cool. But that's how
Hmm.
it's interesting to me how when a challenge comes up, why is it always negative?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And that's it's such a powerful thing because, even speaking, like thinking of that journey alone, it's like there's so many tweaks. I was so determined, like when he would have certain hard hits that I was so determined. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out and figure it out. So it's like you're right. There's so many moments in our journeys that we have to tweak things
Hmm.
and feel it out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But eventually, bam, when you get it, oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. And it's part of not giving up because there were family members who did, like what you said. They were like, screw this, I don't like it, it's too hard, and they gave up. And you know what? They missed out on such amazing experiences. They missed out on bonding, they missed out on growing. And so it's like I'm proud that I didn't. And I got to see the fruition of my growth over
Hmm.
that time where they, that's like you say, that's part of our lives. Like that, you get to decide, but are you going to follow through? Are
Right.
you going to let the things that come at you, because they're coming at you, stop you and make you go back to who you were?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. What are your thoughts, MB?
Um, I think I wanted to take a little bit of what you said and kind of like look at it a different way. Because you're talking about the people giving up, right?
Hmm.
And I think that that's so powerful. A, because I think that like we put this expectation on ourselves to be good at things. And I love the way you talk to your daughter about that. And that's the way we should talk to ourselves is it's actually normal to not be good at things when you're first starting. So like why do we expect ourselves to be
Yeah.
so good at things that we've never done before? And literally the way you get better is through trying it.
Yeah.
Because I think so often we'll try something and then we're not good at it right away and we're like, oh, this isn't for me. And that's not how the things work. Like
Yeah.
that's not physics, right? So just understanding like maybe for some of us we need to take like the moral aspect out of it. Like being good at something doesn't mean that you're good or bad. You're allowed to be bad at things that you're trying. You're allowed to, get better slowly. You're allowed to make mistakes, like all those things. And that's actually a normal part of learning. And I think I don't know like where that disconnect started, but I think that so often is we see the beginning and we see the end. And so it's like we forget that there is a middle when really the middle is the majority of the time. If you're on a fitness journey or if you're learning pickleball, like the middle when you're after you've started before you've arrived is the vast majority of the time spent like doing a thing. And so the longer you're playing pickleball, like the better you're getting at it. And that is literally how you get good. If you get mad at yourself and quit because you're not good right away, then you're never going to get to that point.
Yeah.
So working through that discomfort and being bad at something, and like you said, the way you approach it is so powerful when when you got like a hard shot or whatever, and you're like trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to handle this in the future? And so you're approaching it with that learning mindset, and that's going to make all the difference.
Yes. Oh my
And
gosh.
I also think like for those people who quit, you have a couple options, right? If pickleball's not for you, like that's okay. But are you going to go find another challenge or are you going to just not try anything new ever again?
Right.
Because I love that too. And that was like the one thing I was like, ooh, let me like split these hairs.
Yes.
Not, and I feel like it ties back into what we were talking about with like the journey and different seasons. Like, not everything is going to be for us. And just because everybody else is doing it doesn't mean that we have to. And that's okay. But then go find something. Don't go back to,
Yeah.
checking the boxes and living the life that you think that you're supposed to do. If one thing doesn't work out and you really gave it a shot and it really isn't for you, it's not just because you don't want to practice,
Yeah.
then great. Find something else. You don't have to be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Yeah. You'll never know your potential though if you don't give it
Right.
a yeah.
Actually try. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, if you don't really give it a shot, like you
Exactly.
said.
And
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
yourself the chance to be bad at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, this is so good. I think that also another thing that was hard for me with the seasons, like the season of life that you're in, is that it applies to so many things.
Mhm.
Um, like how I look at it big picture, like when you were talking about you have 80 years here, like how I can describe it as like levels. So like what your age is your new level, and you have seasons in that level
Mhm.
that you can do stuff in, and it's kind of like completing the circuit of that level, so you doing all of the seasons that you have in that one level of feeling all of that, but also with the rhythm of the things of how it
Mhm.
works also kind of helps you naturally move to your next level, right?
Mhm.
And how I like to say is like adding your like sauce or your power, your specials, whatever to it, is by changing the things, like doing something different to live your life by design through those seasons, and moving to your next level, if you will, right? Now, that could be with relationships, that could be with a job, that could be with, how you even do your like yearly, I don't know, like what am I trying to say? Like rituals, holidays, like those types of things, like habits. Like even like if you're a person that has a morning routine, well, what if your morning routine worked for you for 10 years and now it's an afternoon routine for the next 10
Mhm.
years because it's just not for you in the morning anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it works better in the afternoon for you. But that's why it's so important with all the seasons of like rest, reflection,
Mhm.
really like kind of hibernating and not fixing and doing to really see what actually works for you
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
then move to the next thing. And I think what the hardest thing for me was looking at the season of life and all of that with all of these little things is like looking back at it with relationships, I think was really hard for me because I was the kind of person that, like, oh, if I'm your friend, I'm your friend for like I'm your friend for life. Like this is it.
Mhm.
Like I'm your friend for
Mhm.
life. And that can I'm not discrediting that at all because that can actually happen. Like I talked to a couple people that I met in elementary school to this day.
Yeah.
And so like that is a very real thing because I do feel like you just get soul ties with people and you're just friends with them forever. But there are people in your life that are here for a short period of time. And when I say here, I mean like in your actual circle of life, for a short period of time for a reason. And then they're meant to leave. And I
Mhm.
think sometimes for me, it was super hard for me to understand that. It was hard for me to understand that I had to like grieve and let go of somebody that was
Mhm.
no longer for me
Yeah.
because I refused to see that. Like I refused to see that season was
Yeah.
done and that it's okay to like let them go, and it's a total process to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
Um,
I feel like sometimes it would make me feel mean or like I can't do that because I'm not a good person when it doesn't even have anything to do with that. Like hello stories that we tell ourselves, right?
yeah.
But to maybe breaking it down to like seasons of this person is here for whatever it is. Sometimes you know exactly what it is. Oh my gosh, they totally helped me through, this particular situation. And then now they're not around so much anymore. Or maybe it's like proximity or what you're doing at the time. Like maybe you are playing pickleball and you're doing that for like a decade. And then you're just, pickleball is not your jam anymore and you wanted to try something different. And then now, like your pickleball people kind of separate a little bit. That doesn't mean you like never speak to each other again. It's just the relationship is different because it's a different season in the relationship, right? And so it's just interesting how it's so deep with that, but how hard it is to like actually realize and
Accept it.
yeah,
Yeah, me
yeah.
too, girl. I feel that so much, especially with the friend thing, like you were talking about. Like, I was
Mhm.
one of those, like, I was the same way. And if a friend, like, just stopped talking to me or we just kind of distance ourselves, like, I always felt like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, am I not good
Mhm.
enough? And
Mhm.
I just took it so personally. And learning that has been a game changer and opening up myself to, like, let go of what's no longer serving me and respectfully being like, okay, but being also
Mhm.
grateful because
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
talking about the seasons. Like I can just think of this one girl right now who I know God brought her in my life to help me with JJ when I was pregnant and dealing with what I was dealing with. Like
Mm.
she was a huge part of getting me through that season,
Oh.
in ways that I will always be grateful to her, even though she's not a part of my life now. It's just like you get to also be grateful for that. And even the failed relationships, there's always things within those relationships that taught me or prepared me for something else and learning more about what
Mhm.
I want and what I don't want, even that it's like I have a way of now looking at it in a gratitude way instead of beating myself up or having that victim mentality or it's like, why did that have to happen to me kind of
Mhm.
thing. So I think that strengthens you as a person as well. And even on this entrepreneurial journey, like there's been many people that I've connected with and we've been good for a while and then we go our separate ways and there's no hard feelings or whatever. We were there for each other in those moments of being there. And then there's some like you who I get to stay connected with for a
Mhm.
longer period for our seasons. And I'm happy for that and
Mhm.
always, grateful that, hey, it's going to last as long as it's meant to. I always tell people there's divine timing, divine connections for a reason. And this
Mhm.
is what it's all about. And the more aligned you are with yourself, the more you'll you'll get those opportunities. You'll notice them. You'll see them.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Um, oh my God, cool. Love how my mind just went blank.
Oh, I know. Oh God,
That's
girl, I feel that so
That's real.
I know
super
that's so real.
That's a real
fun.
thing.
It
All of
is.
us have to edit this out. I'm freaking out right now.
No, don't be. It's all
Um,
good.
so okay, that's what I wanted to connect it to is Shauna, you were talking about the morning routine, right? And sometimes like something works for you and then it just doesn't work anymore. And I think that is a normal part of growth. And I think maybe why it feels so foreign is because like we've normalized stagnation in our culture so much, but it's actually like when you're growing things are changing, and
Mhm.
that's absolutely part of it. So something might work for you for a season or even for years, and then as you're changing and you're growing, you're becoming a new person, you're becoming a new version of yourself, you're leveling up, like however we want to look at it. You are not the same person. So it actually makes sense that the same things aren't going to work anymore. And so then doesn't it also make sense the same people aren't going to be a fit? And then also, as much as you're changing and growing and learning throughout your life, so are the people in your life, right? So, like, you would expect people to grow and change. Like, I feel like you would almost expect more relationships than not to be seasonal just because like if we're all growing and we're all developing and we're all kind of like taking our separate paths, then yeah, more of us are going to branch off than are going to end up on the same path like the further we get down. But I also think like it's like a spider web, right? Where like different paths then reconnect. It's not like we're getting further and further apart from everybody, like but you end up becoming in alignment with different people who are in more of the same season or in alignment or
Yeah.
who are going to come alongside you where you're at now. Because I think that's part of it too, is like we're afraid of losing those people and then never filling like that relationship slot. I made that sound really transactional. Um, and I also don't want to be like, it's a
But
scarcity mindset. But like that's what I'm saying, right? I think that's part of
totally.
the part of what freaks us out so much and like gives us that instinct to hold on. Not that there's not like healthy grief and letting people go and like mourning them no longer being in your life the way that they were. Like I think that that's absolutely healthy, but I think that there's like an unhealthy like grasping on like I don't want to lose that person because like I don't want to be lonely or I don't want to have to go to pickleball by myself and find a new pickleball partner, like whatever that is. Um, so yeah, I think just like understanding that it's not like a failing or anything that we've done wrong when we grow apart from people or even when people grow apart from us, and that it's actually normal. Like if we're all growing,
Yeah.
most of us are going to grow apart eventually, but then you're also going to grow together with other people down the road.
Yes. Yes, but also I I do want to say that the more the more aligned with who you are. And what I mean by that is like, if you have this curiosity to start pickleball and you do it, and you have this, I want to go on these vacations, I want to make these memories, I want to do this, this is what I want my life to look like. And the more you honor yourself, honor yourself, honor yourself, the people that come into your life when you are more you and you honor yourself more are like, they say your people, like you will find your
Hmm.
people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's going to be a selective few people that like you will be friends with forever that you may not even talk to all the time. Like I
Yeah.
have a friend that I've been friends with since elementary school, and there might be 2 years that go by where we don't even speak to each other. But when we pick up the phone, it was like I just left her house yesterday.
Yeah.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean like when I say grow apart in seasons too, it doesn't necessarily mean over. Those do
That's
happen as
good.
well,
That's
right?
good.
Those do happen as well. It doesn't mean that the relationship is over. It just doesn't look like what you had because you
Mhm.
could live in different places. You could have, some may have kids, some may not have kids. Some like or you could move further apart. Like I had a really good friend that ended up moving to Florida. And so I'm like, oh shoot. So then sometimes it's 5 years in between, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you can still have a connection
Yeah.
and still talk to people, but
Mhm.
that it might not just look the same. It might not be like, oh, we kick it every week like we did before, because obviously situation and circumstances are different. But
Yeah.
it's also mourning the relationship that, like, I like what you said, that once was, but doesn't mean that it's gone either. And
Yeah.
so
I love that.
navigating what that is and just being okay with, oh, this is what this looks like now. I might talk to
Mhm.
her once every 2 years, but that's also okay because neither of us, it's not weird when we talk on the phone. It's not weird at all. I mean, if it's like, oh, I don't really know what to say about, okay, then that's probably like,
Yeah.
then you maybe want to reevaluate. But like, other than that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it goes with how you feel and just how you are. Most people are like that. It's the season of what it looked like as well. So, I mean, I just wanted to make that clear because it's not just that you have a friend for 3 months and then you don't have them anymore. That doesn't necessarily mean that. They could have just been really close to you, always around you for X amount of time, and then have that. Now, I can speak to what you were saying about like the scarcity thing. And maybe this is scarcity too, but there's some people that I've met in my life where I was like, I really hope it's not one of those seasonal people.
I don't
Because
think
I
there's anything wrong
freaking
with it.
love this person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some people
Yeah.
where I'm just like, you
Yeah.
don't even know you're my person and you're my person.
No, I think
You know what I
I
mean?
love that because I think we're so used to like shutting things down and like not wanting to like get excited about something or not even wanting to want something. So
Mhm.
I love that. I think that's hopeful. I think that's positive. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's great. I also
Hey.
love that you brought up that the how relationships change and evolve, but they don't have to end. I
Hmm.
think that that's super powerful. And I think actually like when we're more open to that, it might even make it easier for them to evolve and for us to keep those friendships. So I think that's a really important factor that you brought up because if I require my friendships where I'm like seeing this person, 5 days a week or like weekly or whatever, and then it's like, oh, if you move or if you get busy in a season, then we're not friends, and this is like big blow up, like the friendship ends. But if we're allowing people to change and grow and evolve, then you can actually keep the friendship alive through different seasons. So
Hmm.
I really love that you brought that up. Thanks.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, even do y'all talking about even in a marriage, like, it's
Hmm.
like the way you change over time. It's like, you know, it takes work on both
Yeah.
ends for
Yeah.
Hmm.
sure, because it's like you do become different people. And it's like what you
Mhm.
guys were when you first were together. You're not going to stay that way, especially if you get married and have children and
Right.
things change. And it's like be honoring those seasons and understanding
Mm,
that, just because right now it may not look exactly like what it once did, or even maybe what we kind of hoped it would. That's okay. Like,
love that.
let's enjoy it for what it is, because it too is going to end. And we're going to be like, oh man, remember the time when the kids were young? And, and it's like, so okay, it's okay if like things are not as active in certain areas, or you're not able to go out you're by yourselves as much. Like, I want to just speak to that for those who are in that marital journey because it's the same thing. Like
It's
the
really
difference
hard.
is that you are living with that person, like you
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to navigate that and learn how to like let each other grow and evolve while encouraging each
Mm.
other, hopefully to grow together. But everyone does it in their own way, in their own time, and you can't project either how you would expect this person or want this person to change because that will drain you really quick. And I had to learn that the hard way. So it's like allowing people to honor themselves and their own journeys while you just focus on you, because there's a ripple effect with that too that's really powerful when you do that and let go of that control or that, expectations that sometimes we place. But it can be just it can be quite an incredible shift for you
Mm.
and your partner for sure.
That's so
Yeah.
important. I love that.
I think that understanding, you can define the season that you're in with so many different things, right?
Yeah.
With relationships, like with your kids, with,
Mhm.
the actual real seasons that happen in the year, or like
Right.
feelings or emotions, or maybe it could be a circumstance or situation that comes into your life that you don't have control over, but guess what? This is what's happening and this is your life right now. And so how do you navigate that? And I think it's important to understand that when things do get hard, it can be hard to see that it is a season and that it's temporary because of how it feels
Yeah.
or because of what you're going through, whether it is the season with the friendship or maybe it's the season with the job or what have you. When it's super heavy, it's that shower curtain that we talked about. It comes right back in front of you because that's why I use a shower curtain, because you open it and you close it. Like
Yes.
it's times where it is open and then there's times where it is closed and things look foggy because there's so much going on.
Mm.
So I think what can be helpful is to remind yourself that, is this like, be curious and open and remind yourself, like, is this a season that I am in? Is this helping me? Like, is this something where I need to rest and reflect? Like, am I in this winter season or am I
Mhm.
in spring where I need to try new things? Or maybe you're just not feeling it. Like, maybe it's a season of I'm not feeling anything right now. Okay, so what does that look like? You can still have a season of not feeling anything. Like, you don't want to do nothing. I might do a load of laundry today. Okay, that might be what you need in order to get to the next day. As long as you keep going through it and
Mhm.
know that it's a season that you will pop out of, and you might come back in a little bit, pop out, come back in. It's more of a flow, right? Reminding that it's temporary, it is not forever, and
Mhm.
that, knowing what you need it to look like in order for that day to be okay is
Mhm.
probably the best way through it when it's harder, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Because there's days, like I call it, like when you're on or when you're off,
Ah,
like when
mhm.
you're on, you want to like clean the house and you want to do it. Like, I don't know about you, like I want to do all this podcast stuff. I want to clean the house. We're going to, do blah, blah,
I
blah.
love
I'm like doing all this stuff. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, oh my God, like what did I just do? I just did 100 things, but I feel good about it. I'm not
Yeah,
drained,
yeah,
exhausted, and just like, oh, I hated that day. No, it was
yeah,
like, heck yeah, I just did that. I just did that
yeah.
whole day and I just did all that. And then when you're off and you're not feeling it, and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing the laundry. I'm not doing the dishes. What do I actually need? Because I don't want to, because that's human, first of all,
Mhm.
but also honoring and not pushing through and doing those 100 things when you're not feeling it.
Mhm.
If you honor yourself in the season of being like, I'm not feeling it, what can I do? Or what needs my attention right now? What needs my attention today? And just doing that and honoring the
Mhm.
rest and
Yeah.
recovery, you will be able to be on maybe the next day or maybe 2 days from there. If you push through, you might not be on for another week.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You got to learn how to let that be enough. Like, you just know
Mm-hmm.
you're doing enough. Like, and I think we don't give ourselves that grace. Like, we feel like we're behind. Like you said, again, it makes us feel like we're behind. Oh, I should be doing more. I should have done more of it. It's like, nah, guys, like you say, you have those on days that make up because I love those days too, for sure. But, and the energy
Mhm.
of what you're putting out there in the world and for
Mhm.
everyone around you when you're in the on. And
Mhm.
then when you're forcing it, oh my goodness, when you try to force it. And I mean, that's why a lot of, just know burnout and scarcity are hand in hand. So if you're
Mhm.
feeling burnout, that's probably because you're in a state of scarcity where you're pushing yourself, you're forcing it. It's like coming from a place of like desperation or just
Mm.
feeling like I have to do it rather than, but even in those moments, still like you say, I love what you said, Shauna, because it's not about like just doing nothing per se. It's figuring out, well, what do you need? Is it
Yeah.
a day of just resting and
Mhm.
relaxing and giving yourself the day off? Why not? We deserve it, dang it. We work so much unpaid hours as moms, let alone or even just individuals. Like we do so much in this world, Lord, just to survive. And I think that's a part of what I love teaching and love sharing is outgrowing survival mode because I feel like that's
Mm.
gotten us so far in life. But when you're ready for what's next and what you're meant for, like that means you got to outgrow that. And that's okay. And it's scary, but it's also wild and awesome because what's on the other side is beyond anything you can imagine. But just everyone has to go through this messy middle
Mhm.
of like getting there and figuring that out, well, what that it's going to look like. So yeah, I just thought that was a little add on to that.
I love
I
it.
love how you talked about how doing nothing is not doing nothing. Like you're resting or you're filling your cup or yeah. I think
So
that
important.
yeah, I think that we would benefit from getting better at doing nothing, honestly.
No, I agree.
Because
I
it's
think it's
really
a
like
reframe. It's a reframe,
yeah,
right? Like we think of resting as not doing anything, but it's actually pouring into us.
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yep.
It's so funny how we just flip it like, oh, we're not doing anything and we're not being productive. Are you not?
Yeah.
Are you sure
Right,
about that?
right.
Yep. Yep. I mean, even in those moments, like the other day, I remember, because my kids are home and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work. I worked and got what needed to be done, kind of thing. But it was at a certain point, and I was like, I'm caught up enough. You know what? I'm going to stop for my day and watch a movie with my kids and
That's
make
cool.
popcorn. And we did that, and it was so nice. And I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like, oh
Mhm.
my God, I should be doing this, or oh, am I going to be in trouble, or am I going to get behind? Like I just enjoyed it with them because it's like those moments. I'm not going to have many more of those eventually, so I want to enjoy it. And so I think it's okay. We need to be okay with things like that. And actually, if anything, do it more. It's nice.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
absolutely. I love how you're talking to about how like some days you just you're on and you want to do all the things and other days you're not and like that's totally okay. Because I think a lot of the time when we look at like discipline or consistency, we think that it means like doing five things a day every day. And as an ADHDer, bro, like that does not work.
No.
That does not
Yeah.
No,
work. And I've
no.
tried to force myself to do it, and I forced myself right into burnout. And then I wasn't doing anything for a lot of days.
Yes.
So I love that freedom, and like it ties into what we're talking about with just the journey and seasons of like, and sometimes that season is, one off day, one on day, like whatever. It's not necessarily the
Yep.
whole like year of a season or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's like it's interesting how when you lean into that and you give yourself the freedom to do like work with yourself and do things in a way that support you and like what you need, how you're actually able to like function on a higher level. And like you were talking about, Mary, it's also like the energy that we're putting out into the world and the intention with the way we're doing things, right? Because like I might force myself to go to the grocery store and I'm in a terrible mood and maybe I'm kind of like giving everybody a dirty look or like like you're going in with like this you don't want to be there and
You're
anyone who
salty
interacts
from
with
the
you
gate. Yeah.
can tell. Yeah. And so maybe you're not like cursing people out in the parking lot, but also maybe like if you would have gone the next day, you would have had like an encouraging conversation with a cashier or you would have said something, given a stranger a compliment that made their day or like it's like when we allow ourselves to do things like when we have the capacity to do it, we do them at a much higher level. And I don't think we always give that the credit that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I love the reframe of resting and recovering and pouring into yourself because there's this like attitude out there that isn't just as important as being productive.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that you're more important than any task there is out there. So if you're taking care of yourself and you're pouring into yourself, like absolutely. That is just as important, if not more important, than the things that you're getting done.
Hmm. I want to add to that a little bit. I actually have a personal example that just happened this week, but when you were talking about like not feeling like going and doing something or dreading it because you already know what it's going to end up being like. For example, I
Oh
had to go
no.
to Target with my children to get my daughter a swimming suit. And you already know, you take your kids to the store, they're going to ask you for 100 things. You're going to have to say no. It's going to be like this whole thing. It's never just like, we're going to go and get something and leave ever. Like, I mean, anyone that has kids that goes to a store, especially Target for Pete's sake, so they put those stupid dollar bins right in the front where they're like, I want these 5 things right here. It's only $5. You're like, oh my God.
No.
So I was already
It's
dreading
like that
it.
when I take myself to the store.
I
So
mean, it's hard. It's hard. Yes. All right. You go in for Target for one thing and you leave spending like $250 like every time. So we go in there and I was dreading it because I already knew it was going to be this whole process. And I knew that it needed to be done that day because I literally didn't have the I worked the next, few days. So it needed to be done Monday. It wasn't something I could put off. And I go in there and at first like before I walk in I was like making jokes with my I was trying to lighten it up. I was like making jokes with my daughter because she was talking about like walking. I'm just putting myself on blast here. We're talking about like how you walk and stuff. And I was like, girl, you got to walk like this. And I'm like snapping and like totally shaking and walking. And she's like, oh my God, mom, you're embarrassing me. And I was like, you gotta walk with confidence and da, da, da. I was just like teasing her. And then she's like laughing at me and she's like, you're so weird. And whatever. So right there, like lighten the mood, right? Because I knew I had to do the thing. I didn't want to. So I'm like lighten the mood and we go in and we're like laughing. And then we go in and we find the swimming suit and stuff and we do the whole thing. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, okay, we're doing good so far. There's not questions. We're doing okay, whatever. And then this Target shopper comes, or this Target worker comes up to me and he's like, excuse me, ma'am. He's like, do you know this guy? And I turn and look and it's my son who had got the job there and he was on his orientation, which I didn't think he'd be on the floor, so I didn't think we would even see him. And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's my son." And he's all smiling. He's like, "I didn't know you were coming to Target." And then we're like having this whole funny conversation. So it was like kind of like a then my daughter's like, "Oh, my big brother's he's Target," like it's a big deal to her because he's like a Target person now, and we're at Target. Oh my goodness. So she like gives him a hug or whatever, and the guy's like joking around and like giving Torn crap already, which I love. And then we end up just leaving, and I'm like, look at what I just did. I just dreaded a story, right? Like, yes, there's been past things that have happened for me going to this place and hating it and all the things. But then I tried to lighten up the mood before going in because I was like, okay, we're going into the gauntlet, so we're gonna make it funny first. And I like changed the mood before entering in. And then something unexpected totally happened that was funny and fun and cool for my daughter to see her big brother in there and like all of this that I how would I have known that was gonna happen
mm,
unless you go in there. And then you leave and you're like, huh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. How many times do we do that with situations in our lives? Right?
That's true. Yeah.
I love that so much because I think like a lot of the time these conversations, and I know for me, I can kind of make it into like just don't do anything if you don't feel like it, and then it's like yeah, but we have to keep the kids alive. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you do. I don't have to. So I think that's why it's easier for me to be black and white. I'm like, but there are some times where you just have to do something you don't want to do. And I just think that's such a powerful example. Like, yeah, ideally we're not gonna push ourselves and we're not gonna force ourselves to do all the things when like we just don't have it. But if there is something that we have to do, and Mary, you kind of alluded to like doing enough and having like you're having like kind of a baseline where you're like, this is enough, everything else is icing on the cake or cherry on top, whatever.
Yeah.
So I just need to like cover my bases and that's good enough. And I'm not going to beat myself up for not overachieving every day. And so I think that's powerful too. But if you're at the point where it's like, I have to do this thing that I really don't want to do in order for it to be enough, I think that's where your story comes in, Shauna. And I think that's so powerful that like even when we don't have it and it's something we don't want to do, like we actually have so much power and influence on like how we're getting through a really hard thing.
Yeah.
And
That
so I
is
think
right.
that's really cool.
It is. It is. It's like that, but that also is like part of that imaginary suffering that we put on ourselves, like
Yeah.
where we just assume it's going to be a certain experience. And so it's like
I've
we're
never
almost
done
like,
that.
yeah, I know, right? I do. And it's like maybe we can like take a moment to ask ourselves, is this
Mhm.
a reality? We don't know. Like, and I love that, Shauna, because exactly you took something that you dreaded, but you found a way to make it fun. Maybe that's a challenge for someone out there who's in a situation, like you say, that has to do something and they're not really they don't know or they're feeling a little anxious about or whatever. Like even my husband, I love him, he's been challenging himself to be more outgoing and to speak to strangers and
Ooh,
more
that's
talkative, and
exciting.
it's amazing because it's like, yeah, he has a little bit of anxiety about it, but then he does it and he has these amazing conversations with people and he's just putting himself out there more, and like, and it's getting easier and easier.
Yeah.
So you know, in moments where I'm like that, where I'm having a really bad day and I just like don't feel like doing anything, sometimes I will do that too, like where I'm like, well, let me see. Like maybe it's like listening
Mhm.
to a podcast or something that I enjoy that might light me up. And sometimes that does the trick where it's like
Hmm.
all of a sudden I'm like, I have this new empowerment in me and this new fire. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I can go do the thing. Then there's people who talk about, you've heard the saying, eat the frog, right?
Yep.
Yep. So I mean
Yeah.
that there's some people who recommend that. So it's like again, it's about figuring out what works for you. But if they say there's a day you have things to do, well,
Mhm.
that eat the frog is a great way to be like, okay, what's the absolute one thing I really don't want to do? Let's get that over with. And
Hmm.
Mhm.
then kind of move through your day in a way that can just help you maybe find the fun in it or just, settle down from the part that was really hard for you in the beginning.
Well, and it
Oh.
speaks to kind of like what we were talking about is, staying on the hamster wheel, doing the same thing. Like, how do I do it differently? And me lightening, words are hard, up the situation before I even went in there. I haven't done that the last probably 4 times we've gone into the store. And so I'm just like, I just did it to be funny. And then it completely shifted the whole time of not being stressful, pushing through, doing the thing, rah, 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 like we do in our daily lives. It's like that one little tweak of being silly completely shifted the next like hour
Yeah.
of the what we had to experience. Like that could be kind of like a little tip of like, how do you want it to be different? Just do something different in the beginning or to offset it or whatever, just to see
Mhm.
how, like, like Mary, like you were saying, see how it goes. It could totally make your day different. Now all of a sudden you could be on and be like, whoa, shoot, like I feel totally, you never know. You never know until you tried something different.
Yeah.
Love it.
Well, again, this conversation has been amazing and awesome. Is there anything else that you guys want to add in to the end of this before we wrap up and how about this? Do you have anything else you would like to say to wrap up? And when you're done, you can let them know where they can find you.
Love it.
Yeah, for me, I just feel like honor the season that you're in. Don't fight it. Don't fight against it. Don't push it. Don't compare yourself to others. Like, really learn to have fun and enjoy it and take it for what it is because it too will pass. And you want to be able to look back and have grown from it,
Mhm.
instead of letting it defeat you. So, for anyone who wants support or just some inspiration, you can come find me, whether it's at marydibblecoaching.com, on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or my YouTube channel. Come in my world. I love to support you in any way. I offer one-on-one coaching for those who are ready to, take action and change your life. So I'm always here. I offer a free call. But yeah, I come find me.
I love it. I just want to reiterate, like, asking yourself what you need because that can change from day to day. And sometimes you need that rest, and sometimes you need to ignore the to-do list. And other times you need to eat the frog, or maybe you need to start with something, a small win, and build up during the day. Um, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to need different things, different days. That's been a game changer for me. It's just letting myself be different. And so when you're building that routine of checking in with yourself and seeing what you need, then you're able to navigate different seasons, at different days, different energy levels so much more effectively. So ask yourself what you need. Um, I am at the Fierce Framework on podcast platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So come hang out.
I love it. I love it. I would say my thing that I want to leave here is that seasons are temporary and they're a chunk of time that will pass. And if you are in a season that you are thriving in, awesome, keep going, you're doing great. If it gets too heavy and there's too much pressure, slow it way down and ask yourself what needs my energy right now, today. Like live in just the day. That is part of the season that you're living in. It will at the time may not seem like it will run faster, but it will once you concentrate and you're present on just the day, your season will pass faster. Once you look back, you're like, wow, that actually was pretty fast. So that's my tip. You can find me at www.igniteddecisions.com. It has all the links to my Release Your Inner Power podcast. It has all of my socials on there and any information in case you feel inspired to learn more about what I'm doing and how I help women get out of that hamster wheel and live by design. And of course, if you ever want to say what has inspired you or motivated you or what you really liked about any of our talks, please reach out to any of us. We love talking to our listeners and seeing what works for them so we can give them more of what they need in the future of having these chit chats and helping them out. So please reach out to us, and we hope to see you next time on one of our talk show episodes.
Mama, before you move on with your day, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what is this season asking of me? Not what does everyone else expect from me? Not what should I be able to handle by now? Not what is another woman doing that I should be doing too? What do I need? And what would it look like to honor that without guilt? Maybe this season is asking you to rest. Maybe it's asking you to release something that no longer fits. Maybe it's asking you to take one baby brave step towards something you've wanted, but you've been afraid to try. Or maybe it's asking you to stop abandoning yourself every time uncertainty, fear, or someone else's opinion enters the room. If that is where you are, I want to invite you to experience Identity Reset. Identity Reset isn't about becoming a perfect version of yourself who never struggles again. It's about becoming a woman who knows how to return to herself when life gets hard. It's about learning how to stabilize yourself instead of remaining trapped in survival mode. It's about taking ownership of your beliefs, reconnecting with your vision, following through with aligned action, and building the capacity to hold the life you're creating. This is not a transformation you use for one season and then outgrow. Identity Reset gives you tools and practices you can return to through the good seasons, the painful seasons, the uncertain seasons, and the seasons where your dreams begin unfolding faster than you imagined. Because the goal isn't to control everything life brings. The goal is to trust the woman who will meet it. If you're ready to stop waiting for more confidence and begin becoming the woman you can trust to lead your own life, visit the link in the show notes to explore Identity Reset and claim your place. Thank you so much to MaryBeth and Shauna for another honest and powerful conversation. And thank you for being here and allowing us to walk beside you. If this episode spoke to you, follow the show, leave a review, and share it with another mom who needs to hear that she is not behind. Until next time, Mama, honor your season, trust your becoming, and remember, you do not have to carry it all alone. Keep rising, Mama. Much love.